Howdy, partners! Have any of you ever had the experience of having your mom buy your favorite cookies for you, only to discover that they were eaten by your dad or maybe your brother or sister? Me too! That's why I came up with an idea to help you mark your cookies as your own in much the same way that cowboys in the Old West would keep their livestock from getting stolen. Today we're going to learn how to brand your cookies. My name is Tiffany Owen, and I am the Instructional Coordinator for Lincoln and Fort Stanton Historic Sites. This activity is designed to accompany the virtual summer camp lesson, Irons in the Fire, which can be found on our New Mexico Historic Sites YouTube channel or at our website, www.newmexicohistoricscites.org. There you can also find a printed version of the instructions in this cookie branding video. Before you make your branded cookies, I hope that you will watch the video and learn about the history of livestock branding and also the language of the brand. This will help you when you're deciding how you want to design your personal brand. Before we start, here are a few important reminders. Remember to ask your parents before beginning this activity. We will be using kitchen utensils and the oven, and we want you to be safe. If you decide to use food coloring to brand your cookies, you may want to wear an apron. Food coloring is very concentrated and can stain your clothes. And finally, although it is very tempting, trust me, I know, you should never eat raw cookie dough. It contains raw eggs, which can make you very sick. All right, cowpokes, let's get this roundup started. To make your personal cookie brand, you're going to need some heavy-duty aluminum foil. You might also want some scissors and Scotch tape. First, tear off a piece of aluminum foil that is about 12 inches by 6 inches. Then you'll want to fold the long end of the foil over about a ½ inch. Continue to fold the ½ strip over and over, a ½ inch at a time, until you end up with a single strip of aluminum foil. Now you're ready to make your brand. I recommend keeping it fairly simple. You know, a blacksmith would have been making a livestock brand out of metal, which wasn't easy to bend into complicated designs. Remember we learned from the Irons in the Fire video that brands are usually made with letters and basic shapes. Maybe you'll want to start by shaping your foil into the first initial in your name. I decided to make my brand using my 3 initials, TLO. So first, I combined the T and L into a single brand. Do you remember from the video how this would have been spoken in the language of the brand? That's right, TL connected. Then, for my last name, I needed to create a separate shape to make the letter O. If your aluminum foil has little tails at the end, or if you're having trouble keeping your brand together, use the Scotch tape to tape things where you want them. Okay, for the last step, you'll want to make sure that your cookie cutter won't cut your cookies too small to accommodate your brand. Your cookies don't necessarily have to be round circles. For instance, if you made your brand a ligature of 3 letters, your brand may not easily fit into a circle shape. That's okay. Who says cookies have to be round anyway? Once you roll out your cookie dough, you can always use a butter knife to cut your cookies to a size that will fit your brand. Now for the fun part. Let's make our cookies. Okay, before we start making our cookies, let's get our act together. Depending on how you decide to make your cookies, you will need different supplies. If you want the experience of doing things like they did in the old days, you can make your cookies from scratch. Your mom probably has a cookbook with a basic sugar cookie recipe, or there are plenty available on the internet. If you go this route, you will be following the ingredients and the instructions on the recipe. An even easier option is to use a refrigerated roll of cookie dough that basically only requires that you cut the dough into cookie slices. I chose to use a Betty Crocker sugar cookie recipe, which is somewhere between the pre-made refrigerated cookie dough and making your cookies from scratch. So to make my cookies, I just followed the directions on the back of the package. Once you've mixed up your cookie dough, you will sprinkle a little flour on a clean countertop or cutting board. You'll also want to put a little flour on your rolling pin. If you don't have a rolling pin, you can use anything cylindrical like a tall glass to roll out your cookie dough. Roll the dough to about 1/4 of an inch in thickness. Then you can use a round cookie cutter or the top of a glass to cut out your cookies. Use your spatula to move the cookies to the cookie sheet. Now you can use your brand to stamp your cookies. There are several ways you can brand your cookies. I experimented with all of these and every technique worked, so try different things until you find the brand that you like the best. You can stamp your cookie with just your brand, or you can put some food coloring on a small saucer, dip one side of your brand into the food coloring, and then stamp your cookie. I even tried dipping my brand into cinnamon and using that for a brand, and that worked too. You can brand your cookies before or after baking. You can also frost your cookies and then brand them. If you do this, your brand is going to start to get caked with frosting, so you may have to occasionally rinse the frosting off your brand, but I found that the aluminum foil held up to rinsing just fine. And that's all there is to it. I hope that you enjoyed learning about the tradition of livestock branding, and now you can teach your friends about cookie branding at your next roundup. Join us for more virtual summer camp activities coming soon to a computer near you. Thanks for watching.